welcome into Cross My Heart Ministry. It is the Monday of Christmas week, and that means that you are busy like I'm busy trying to get it all done and get everything prepared for all the family to be in or to carry your stuff to wherever you're going to experience Christmas. Well, I have a special recipe for you today. It's an old one that my family's been making for years. If you did all your Christmas baking way early, this recipe is for you. If you have put all your Christmas baking off until the very last minute, this recipe is for you. And the reason for this, my friend, is that it's so super easy. I'm guessing if you did all your baking early and stashed all those cookies away in the freezer, they have slowly sort of disappeared as your family and perhaps yourself has sort of indulged a little bit, or you've given away a plate here and you've filled up a cookie tin there, you've mailed a few off, and so your stash has been depleted and you need to stock up and stock up quickly. Maybe you just haven't had time to bake and you'd love to bake and you just think it's too hard and you don't have all the ingredients or it just takes too long. This recipe is so super duper easy that you will love it. There are only a few ingredients. They're called 7-layer cookies because you guessed it, there are 7 ingredients. I have them all laid out here. It's super duper easy. They are a bar cookie, and I've kind of gotten it started by putting my butter into the oven to begin to melt because it starts with a graham cracker base. I've been making these since I was a little girl. My mom made them for years. We used to call them 7-layer cookies back in West Virginia, but I learned later, moving to Ohio and then to Arkansas, that other people in other parts of the country call them magic cookie bars, and the magic comes from the sweetened condensed milk, sometimes called Eagle brand milk if you don't buy it at Aldi like I do, that goes across the top. So the ingredients are graham cracker crumbs that get mixed together with the butter to make a nice base. It starts with a stick of butter. I think the original recipe called for melting that butter on top of the stove and then pouring it into the pan, but I learned many years ago, why dirty up another pan? This pan is going to go in the oven anyway, so I just like to go ahead and get the butter melted in the oven and then dump the cracker crumbs on there and mix them all together to make that base in there. Now, one question about the graham cracker crumbs. I'm going to delay waiting until I finish to let you know. I haven't had this recipe written down for years. I just do it from memory. And I called my mama because I couldn't find my written copy. And I asked her, how much graham cracker crumbs do we put in there, Mom? And she says a cup. Now, I remember a cup and a half. So I'm going to grind up a cup's worth, and we're going to put a cup of graham cracker crumbs in here and see how it goes. And if I need a few more, I will add those. So I'll put the recipe in a link below, and I will be sure to let you know as we solve the mystery. Is it 1 cup of graham cracker crumbs, or is it a cup and a half? So we'll sort of see what that looks like after we get this here. So I've put the stick of butter in here. The stick of butter is all melted. That's the first thing we do. Now, the graham cracker crumbs, there are, and I Googled to find this out, there are 14 squares of graham crackers needed to make 1 cup of crumbs. The easiest way to make graham cracker crumbs, if you don't want to pay extra and go to the store and buy the crumbs already crumbled up for you, is just to get a Ziploc bag, put your graham crackers in here, and then either do it with your hands or just take a rolling pin and go over it. So this is my little trick, and probably it's not much of a trick for many of you because everybody does this little trick. So I'm going to scrunch all these out here. And like I said, there are 17 graham crackers in here, so that should make 1 cup of graham cracker crumbs. And I'm going to sort of evaluate after I mix it into that hot butter that's already in my pan. Now, I did spray this pan first of all with some cooking spray because I don't want them to stick, of course. So get all this done. These are not the cinnamon graham crackers, just plain graham crackers that we use for the base of this delicious recipe. You're going to be amazed if you've never had these, how easy they are, but also how very delicious. Also good stress reliever to take out as you squish up all of the graham crackers to get them ready to go into the butter. So there we go. I've got the graham cracker crumbs here. I am going to go ahead and measure it. I put a little 1 cup measuring cup and I put it inside a bowl. Not that I'm expecting to be messy, but just in case, I can capture all that in there, and I want to make sure, and indeed it does make a little bit more than a cup. So let me level that off and see what that looks like. Get me a spoon and a leveler, and here we go. So there is 1 cup of crumbs. I'm going to put those in here and just sort of give that a mix around. So we'll see if Mama is right or if Laura is right, whose memory is better. If it doesn't sort of absorb all of the butter really well and I feel like there's still some butter left, I will add some more crumbs. And girls, I think it's going to need a few more crumbs. I don't think my mom was quite right on this one. I think I'm going to add a few more crumbs. Let's see how many are in here with my 17, and we'll see. Let me get a half a cup of measuring and see. That's 17, but it's 17 graham crackers is making a little bit more than the 1 cup that I expected. So this is going to be about a cup and a half exactly with those 17. So that may just about do it. So I think that 17 squares of graham crackers, which makes a cup and a half of graham cracker crumbs, is going to be about right. So you can just use the pan to mix all this in, get all the graham cracker crumbs kind of moistened. This is probably going to take up the longest part of the whole process, because once I start dumping the other things on, you're going to be amazed at how quick this goes together. So just going to sort of pat it all down, get it kind of nice and even, so there are no holes and kind of no clumps. In fact, I think, let me grab my little Pampered Chef rolling pin, and that might just be the easiest thing to sort of get it all sort of even. You can sort of pat it with a spoon, but this might just be a little quicker here. So that is all even. I don't got any more holes. It doesn't make a real thick layer. It's fairly thin, but it will all come together and stay together after it's baked. So there we go. I have the graham cracker crumbs. So those are our first 2 layers. We've got butter and we've got graham crackers. The next thing is a cup of chocolate chips. Again, semi-sweet chocolate chips. I'm not brand loyal here. And here's how this is just so easy. You just simply dump it on top. There's no mixing. You just spread it out into as even of a layer as you can, filling in the holes. This recipe is very forgiving because it's all sort of going to get mixed together, just flow together. So there's the chocolate chips. Same thing, a cup of butterscotch chips. You're going to see a little theme here. So a cup of chocolate chips, a cup of butterscotch chips, and the next coming up is the sweetened flaked coconut, and you guessed it, a cup of that as well. I've already got that measured out. The butterscotch chips just came from Aldi, like the chocolate chips, any brand works, and then the coconut flakes. So this is also just a cup. I'm spreading it out on top of the chips that are already in there. Now, you know, as a kid, I really didn't like coconut that much. I'm still not a big, huge coconut fan, but I love these cookies. And so if you are not necessarily a coconut person, I think you should still give this recipe a try. It just comes together and just is so yummy and delicious and good. So that's all even. And then we're going to add the nuts. This is a cup of walnuts that have already been kind of chopped up. I guess you could probably use pecans if those are what you have on hand. We've always made ours with walnuts, and walnuts, of course, are a little bit more affordable than pecans, so it's a little bit better price there. So those are all even. Are you seeing how quick this is? The last thing that makes it the magic, as they call it, the magic, some people call it the magic cookie squares, is just a can of Eagle brand milk. So I'm going to make an indentation on both sides, and then you just pour this over and just try to make it as even as you can. Here we go. I've got the oven preheating to 350 degrees, and these are going to bake for about 25 to 30 minutes. So you don't want to over bake them. I usually just try to set the timer for maybe 20 to 25 minutes and really keep an eye out so that they don't get overcooked and burnt. You just want to bake them until the edges start to look kind of done, a little bit brown, and the center is just set. I'm remembering how thick the Eagle brand milk is. It comes out very, very slowly. So I may get impatient here in a minute and just cut the top off of this because it is taking so long. It's coming out. Actually, having it come out a little slower is sort of helpful to make sure that it is even all the way around so that you don't have these little clumps in the middle. So I'm just going up and down, covering everything, getting all that delicious goodness. The Eagle brand milk is just going to permeate down through all those different layers, and it's going to sort of be that secret sauce, if you will, the magic that sort of makes that cookie come together and go from just being layered on ingredients to real cookie bars. Like I said, we have been making this recipe for years, and it's just been a family favorite forever, it seems like. And just because it is so incredibly easy to throw together, and unlike most cookies that go in and out of the oven as you make individual cookies, any bar cookie when you're in a rush is always such a great idea because it just comes together so very quickly. So I just about have everything covered here, but I've still got Eagle brand milk that needs to come out, so I'm losing patience. So I am just going to get out my can opener, and in the interest of time, go ahead and take that off and pour the rest on top so that we can pop these in the oven. Like I said, I'm going to bake them. The oven has been preheated. I just got the little click that it's ready to go. And so I'm going to put these in the oven for about 20 minutes. And then I'm going to check them, and they may need about 5 minutes more. We're going to see. And then I will stop the video, but I will come back and let you see what they look like when they are completed. And I'll go ahead and even cut into one, as dangerous as that may be. I'll go ahead and cut into one so you can see what they look like with all the little layer, all the 7 layers, and how they kind of come together. So getting all this sort of poured out of here. There was a lot left in this can, so it's all going to be covered. If you take the top off and you accidentally clump it all too much in one spot, you can use a spatula and spread it out a little bit. Just be careful that you don't end up making squooshing your ingredients around too much, because you really want everything to be staying in those nice even layers. So there we go. I've got it all out of there. I'm going to go ahead and pop this in the oven, and while this bakes for that 20 minutes, I will turn the video off, and then I will be back after they are completed and let all of you see what the finished product looks like. So stay tuned to see our 7-layer cookies and what they look like completed. I'll be right back. Well, we are back. The cookies are out of the oven. They have cooled. They look delicious. They smell absolutely delicious. I'm going to hold this up. I took a couple of photos as well, and we'll try to insert those onto the video so that you can see what they look like. I'm also going to go ahead and cut into these because I want you to see what they look like with all of their wonderful layers and how yummy and delicious they look. So let's go ahead. They're still a little bit warm, so they might kind of come apart a little bit as I pull them out. A little bit of gooey and delicious, but here you go. 7-layer cookies, or magic cookie squares, whatever you want to call them. They are delicious and sweet, and oh, such a wonderful indulgence for the holiday season. They are sweet, but nothing could be sweeter, my friend, than the incredible news that we celebrate during the Christmas season. God became man. John 1:14 says, "The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us." Jesus Christ set aside his robe of glory, put on a robe of flesh, was born as a baby, came to this earth in order to die for our sins. That's a familiar truth for many of us, but one that can just become kind of old and rote with the retelling. Don't let that happen. Let the wonder and the incredible blessed news of Christmas permeate your heart and mind. Ask the Lord to give you a fresh new appreciation for the sweet message of the gospel of Jesus Christ. You know, Christianity is unique and distinct from every other world religion, every other cult that's out there. Every other religion or teaching seems to suggest that we, men and women, have to work our way up, have to be good enough, and hope that we're good enough to earn our way to heaven. Christianity is unique and distinct in the truth that only with Christianity does God come to us, because we could never ever do enough or be enough to earn our way to heaven. Now that's the sweet message of Christmas, and that's news worth celebrating. I hope that you're doing that this week as you prepare to celebrate Christmas with your family. I hope that the message of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the incredible news that Emmanuel, God with us, Jesus came, that's worth celebrating. Merry Christmas from all of us here at Cross My Heart to all of you out there. Have a wonderful holiday season.